run like this in my life. Oh my God!
A textbook head-to-head battle.
Welcome to Sincerely Japan, the drifting podcast.
All right. Well, what's up, dude? Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming back, man. That's the more important thing, I think.
I don't know. It was nice to get invited again.
Yeah, dude. So tell us a little bit, like I think we talked about it in the last episode, but like we really kept up with just stuff you've had going on, following the build pretty closely too. And it's like really over the past year, it's made huge, leaps and bounds as to what it used to be. And so for you, and it's like we talked about last time, this is kind of a learning experience and like a new endeavor, to take on such a behemoth of a project. So like, what's it been like for you just overall?
Honestly, I have grown so much as a person and just like the way I think about things. I feel like hitting so many roadblocks and just facing them head on has like trained my brain to just like come up with solutions like way faster. So yeah, I feel like I've actually grown as a person alongside the car, which is kind of weird to think about.
Oh yeah, dude. That's the best way to do it.
Right?
What's the shit? I had a question for you, dude, and it was lined up and I forgot it immediately.
It'll come back.
It will come back to me eventually for sure. Dude, the biggest thing I think is just the coconut water. We want to shout that out. We were talking about it before we got on the episode, but we really attribute about 90% of this build to coconut water.
Honestly, okay. The reason
this is how we get the sponsorship.
I will tell the story of why I drink coconut water now. After our interview, the first one, my girlfriend and I went to Nicaragua for like 10 days or so, and we volunteered there helping out the community or whatever. And they served coconuts. Like they would climb the tree, knock it down, cut it open for you, and you would just, here you go. And that was your breakfast. You got a coconut and eat the coconut meat out of it. And it was so good. I felt refreshed the entire day. So ever since then, I'm like, if I'm going to be working today, I'm going to grab coconut water.
There you go.
Dude, how do you, my question came back to me as you were talking about the coconut water. Perfect. See, it's like working through the screen, dude. It's insane. Just so much clarity now. Like it's so much clearer, everything. How do you find the time, dude? Like this obviously takes hundreds of hours to get to where you're at now.
It does.
What's like, what does a normal day for you look like?
So when the crash happened, I still had a full-time job. I was a general manager at a parts warehouse, body parts and stuff like that for insurance companies and, shops or whatever. But I ended up getting let go, which ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. So yeah. When I got let go, like the car was smashed already. I had COVID. It was after the drift event. So I was like, man, it's winter. What am I going to do? Like I am screwed. So, and I didn't have a garage to put it in. So that's when I reached out to that body shop, Elmarks. He was actually one of the customers. Sorry, this is a really long answer, but
dude, we got an hour. You're good, man. We got time to fill.
So I reached out to Elmarks. He was one of the body shops that I would deliver to. Fun fact, he was the closest body shop that I would deliver to, which is actually kind of crazy how it all plays into effect.
Yeah.
And if you guys have watched the videos, I actually find a stock quarter panel there for a 240. It's up there. Side note. But anyways, I started working with him, not for money, but I just went there like, hey, we've hit it off before. I know you've built cars. He built like 2000 style like racers, I guess you'll call them, but like in period correct 2000s. Like he was the shop that would do that. So like pretty cool guy, great taste. Yeah. He had a JDM Integra, a Supra. I'm like, all right, this guy is it. You know what I mean? But I knew he had a frame machine in there, and I was like, hey, I know you have that frame machine. I have the Smash 240. What do you say we see what we can yank out of this guy, and I can help
deal or
you.
no deal type shit.
I was like, I'll help you fix like your customer cars on the side, so I'm not like totally, just taking up your space. I'll actually like help you guys be productive and not slow your progress down or whatever. And he was all about it. So that was great. So I started when that happened, when that was like sealed, I was like, I'm gonna shoot to do this full time. Like that was my goal. Like to make content that would be interesting enough, motivating enough, and I guess progressive enough that it would actually follow through and become like a job, I guess you could say. So I treated working on the car as my job. I would wake up early, go to the shop all day, like a 9 to 5 type of thing. And it was really difficult to get the hang of filming, editing, and working on the car all by myself and coming up with thumbnails and description and
Right.
all
It's
the
a whole
behind the
thing.
scenes stuff. Yeah. But luckily I started getting the hang of it. There was one guy that reached out to me. He's from Argentina, and he helped me like kind of get a better understanding of how YouTube works and how to use YouTube to work for you type of thing.
Yeah.
So he helped me out a bunch. So yeah, that's
YouTube is a whole, like, everybody always talks about like, how do we hack the algorithm? You know what I mean? Like, how do you make it work for you? And like, there's a certain amount that you can do that'll definitely help too. But it's like, I'm sure you've seen this too, is like quality content is going to do well no matter what.
Exactly. Quality over
And
quantity.
so it's, yeah. So it's like, how do you leverage that really? And I think like you're doing something that really not many people do too. You know what I mean? Like it's such a small percentage of 240 owners. Like most, I feel like would wreck it and then be like, all right, let's just get a new shell and like we'll call it a day at that.
Right.
And so like, and I think we may have covered this even in the last episode, but obviously it's been almost a year. What was the inspiration for you just to, kind of after the wreck to be like, all right, we're just gonna, dump a ton of work and bring this one back?
So when the crash originally happened, like as soon as I saw the car, that video of like me seeing it, and I was like, oh my God, like, that reaction.
Yeah.
The thought process was, damn, now I have to fix this. Like I was already thinking like that, which is weird. Like it was subconscious. It wasn't like I'm gonna fix this type of thing. It wasn't like that right away, but I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to fix this. Like I know me, that's what's gonna happen. But like, I don't know. So time went on. I was actually looking for shells. I got a shell, a really clap shell. Actually, this is the shell. I got the shell before the drift event, actually.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So
You already pushed it in.
I was planning on maybe shell swapping, maybe using it to save mine. I didn't know, but it was a $300 shell with a clean title.
Nice.
So I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens. I can't go wrong either way. And it had a cage in it too, but
yeah. Nice.
yeah. I forgot.
Well, can I just say, like, that mentality that you have where, like, you smash up your car and immediately, like, you got to fix it. For me, like, whenever I have something go wrong, I have, like, a mental tally in my bank account. So anytime I break something on my car, it's like, can I afford to replace this outright? Nope. Well, then I got to fix this shit because that's the only way it's getting back on the road.
And another thing, like, the reason why I thought now I have to fix this, probably should have explained that, is because my Integras that I've had, every car I've had has been junk. You know what I mean? It's all been smashed or rusted. So I've been taking care of junk cars since I got a car. My first car was a rotted Integra left-hand drive. So then I right-hand drive swapped it, smacked it into a tree, and the taillights were in the back seat. And I did a rear clip on that. I bought a sedan that was smashed front and rear, did front and rear clip on that. So I was already seasoned, thinking about how I can graft together an entire car. Although this is on a much larger scale, which is where like the jigs came into play. So I started to think outside the box. I don't know. It's just crazy what happens when you like sit and think about what you like can do. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get caught in that. They get caught at the stage of just immediately going to, oh, I can never do that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, if you just got your hands on it and like started the process, I think you'd be surprised at what you're capable.
Starting is definitely the hardest part.
We didn't really, I mean, we should have really done an overall, like, tell us exactly like what's been done to the car now since the accident, like you've already explained, like you've already put part of a shell onto it, but literally give us like a last year to this year, kind of everything that's been done to this thing, big picture.
Can you also
So-
let us know what's left of the original car that was smashed compared to
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, I tried to explain it. Yeah. So I'll just go through like the process of like the initial start of the fix and then to where we are now. So it started at Elmark's. We were just,
Mhm.
using the frame machine, pulling on the frame rails and basically everything on the side of the car, really just trying to stretch it back out. And then it hit me when I saw the firewall was like so split, and I was like, we were pulling it back, and I ended up having to cut the firewall in half because it was like holding the shock tower, and I was like, man, I'm just like making little slices in every, major component of this car. I don't know if I can really weld it back together like that. So I was like
Yeah.
thinking like I'm gonna need a new right-hand drive firewall. I'm gonna need a new roof because I don't know if you remember how taco the roof was. It was like,
Oh, 100%. What was it? The US driver's side, right?
yeah, U.S. driver's
So
side.
that whole side was just in what, like halfway basically from the door to the tunnel?
Yeah, it was in. I would honestly say probably a foot. Like it was in
Yeah.
really far. But so I was basically at the shop, cutting stuff, pulling it, whatever. I was starting to get ideas of all the panels that I was gonna need, and I already
Mhm.
had this shell sitting. It was a retired drift car, so the front and rear was smashed in, but the rear of my car was still straight, and the front of my car, I have done so many core supports that I wasn't even worried about doing another one of those.
Yeah.
But the so once I started gathering all the parts, that's when I realized like, okay, now I'm gonna need to start figuring out how I can attach all of these parts. You know what I mean? Like, how would I attach a roof to a new half cut of a car, to a
Right.
trans tunnel, to a firewall, to a core support all at the same time? Because I wanted to make sure everything fit nicely
Mhm.
before I just started, welding. And then, because I didn't want to have to cut off parts if I was already attaching it. I didn't want to work backwards.
Yeah.
So once I got into the mentality of trying to think about a simple way to like just put the pieces down, it can just like sit, and I wouldn't have to like hold like 6 pieces in place at once. That's where the jigs came into play. So I would bolt the jigs to the, like, for example, the trans tunnel. I had a whole jig on the bottom of the car connected the rear subframe, the trans mount, and then the front subframe. It was like all welded together, one big piece. So I could literally bolt the trans tunnel to the car because it was like on the trans mount, and then I could bolt the frame rails in the front, and I knew that was going to be in the right spot because it was part of that jig. And I should probably mention how I made the jigs. My friend Omar has a whole bunch of S chassis, and he would let me just, oh, you need to borrow a car today to make a jig? It became a usual thing because I had to make so many jigs for this car, but
It helps. It helps, right?
it does.
Have all that shit at your disposal.
Right. So he has, rust-free S chassis, so I'll just put all my components under it, weld it all together, bring it to the other garage, put it on my car, line up the parts. So just a bunch of doing that and thinking about how it would line up correctly. Because again, I didn't want to have to backtrack and cut parts off of the car after I had already cut more than half of the car off. So the cut line basically goes, I don't know, can you see that here? Yeah, from here.
Yeah.
Basically the middle of the driver's side quarter panel, and then take that diagonally to the A-pillar on the right-hand drive driver's side. Like that.
Gotcha.
That's the cut line. So everything in front was completely off the car. I had the frame rail off the car completely.
Yeah, I remember seeing a picture where you kind of had everything kind of laid out, and you could see like the car. It looked like a jigsaw puzzle, like all the components
I
kinda
wanted
laid
to
out.
make it look like a Lego set or like a model car set. Which is, it's kind of funny because as a kid, I would like sneak into my dad's workshop, and he would have these like muscle car model cars, and I would just build them all super fast. He's like, why are you building these so fast? You gotta take your time with them. I'm like, but they're too easy. So he would go out and buy these massive kits and be like, all right, here you go. This will take you some time. So that might have
the
played,
origin
you
story,
know,
dude.
might have played a factor into why I've laid it out like that and why this makes more sense. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Hey, so we obviously, when you're building something from the ground up like this, I'm sure we all have intrusive thoughts where you're like, I should turn this into a station wagon, or what do they call that? A screaming bullet or something like that. Did you ever have like an idea where you're like, yo, I could do a fucking like, Veil side type build shit? Or was it just always like, I'm just gonna restore it, make it a 180?
so my goal the whole time, it hasn't changed, is I want to be able to take a picture of it done and show a picture of before and you not be able to tell the difference.
Oh, gotcha.
Like stock
All
quarter.
right.
I feel like stock
Yeah.
quarter, especially after this, it would be the ultimate flex. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah. Like no reason for bolt-ons ever again.
Yeah, please don't. After all the struggle that you went through getting this car squared away, if you go like wide body, like cut the fenders off after all that
no.
work, like
Well,
that would
let me
just be
give you guys
ridiculous.
a sneak peek at what's coming.
Here we go. Nice and
Oh,
simple. That's what I like to see.
It's already white too, so it's perfect.
hmm Well, so let me ask you what. So I know you got a lot of flack in your comments and everything. People like basically saying there's no way that this car is going to be like, structurally
fuck all these
sound or
people.
whatever, whatever.
That shit's so annoying
Yeah.
still.
As you're getting into the building, like I was following on Instagram and whatnot. You were basically just redoing all the panel welds and everything. So I'd imagine that it's exactly as strong as it was before. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
they do it from the factory, basically. So is there any other considerations about that stuff, or was there any concern about that, really?
So yes, they do, spot weld the cars from the factory. On most, maybe not most, on a lot of the seams, I seam welded. So I welded completely through like the whole panel versus like
Mhm.
a dot. So if anything, it's
Yeah.
like, I want to say stronger, but that's not always good in like crash ratings because it could crack easier. But that's the whole reason why I'm caging the car after. So the car is going to be like solid AF.
Yeah.
Like, but with the cage in it, like you can't really, it's a cage.
Right.
Like
Yeah, you can't
It's
move
gonna be
around, get
fine.
where you need to get.
plus
Yeah.
I drove it like this. You know what I mean? Like, and it felt solid. It didn't feel like wobbly or anything, which I was honestly surprised because all the main welds are done, but not like the body side. Because I was like, I have to replace this quarter panel. Why am I gonna weld this? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But
Well,
it
I'm
still
gonna say-
drove solid.
The most impressive thing was earlier when you closed the door and you didn't have to like lift up on it or like wiggle it
dude.
around. It just closed right away. And like when
That
I saw a
was-
video where you closed the hood and it just lined up perfectly. I was like, well,
Yep.
you did it. Congratulations.
This is the deciding factor. Like,
Exactly.
If it rattles, you're golden.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the door on the other side doesn't like pop off. You gotta
Dude,
get, like,
that door
some-
sounds better. That door sounds better than my door, which has never been wrecked ever. So my door's fucking heavy as shit. I know the hinges are off.
oh,
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
thanks,
That's
dude.
so sick. Yeah, dude, if that was me, I'd be like, yo, we should make this an S13 station wagon. I would
be
have
sick.
so many terrible ideas, and then I would get halfway into it and I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing.
This was a mistake. Yeah.
This was a mistake. Yeah, exactly. We talked about reaching out to Coconut Water for the sponsoring the build, obviously. Did you have anybody else along the way that like reached in and helped out aside from the shop that you were talking about earlier?
I mean, I've done like video sponsors from YouTube. I don't know if you'd count it as like a sponsor, but it's more like kind of work type of thing. But
Yeah.
No, I have not had any like major company reach out, which is understandable because this is kind of like a controversial type thing, especially at this stage. It's still like, oh, is this guy? Can we trust this guy with our brand name? You know what I mean? Like, I understand it
Yeah.
from a corporate perspective, but I don't know. We'll see
Yeah.
what the future brings.
I imagine
Yeah.
they want to see like the complete product. But honestly, you're building your own resume. By the time you get done and people start coming asking you like, "Oh, can we get involved now?" If I were you, I'd be like, "Nah, I got it now. It's too late
Exactly.
now. Like it's already done."
It becomes the Smoky
Like,
Nagata
Exactly.
of the Midwest.
It's already done.
Oh man. Yeah, dude, I don't know, because you're up near Chicago, right?
Yeah, I'm located in Bolingbrook, which is
Yeah, dude,
southwest-ish of Chicago. Yeah,
I got you. I got you, man. I commend the effort. When it gets cold, I'm out instantly.
dude, it's freezing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, you were running the heater, and then we had to stop it for the
Son of a
podcast.
bitch.
I know those
Yeah.
gems, dude. It's like the Titanic, man. He's Jack about to freeze to death. Um, oh, man, dude, we have so many things. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing drivetrain wise? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the plan? You're going cage. Are we doing carpet? Are we doing interior? Are you going to leave it like bare bones and switches? Tell me the vibe of this end goal.
End goal, I'm gonna leave the RB25 still in the car because just I feel like I can't change anything since the crash happened. Like in my mind, the car is like sealed and like set. It has to be what
Oh,
it was
shit.
before. So
Damn.
the RB25 is staying. I just put a new clutch in it to have a one-piece drive shaft already. So it's like I have a good drivetrain, just
Yeah.
ready to rock. And that RB is so reliable. You know, I drove it across the country and did multiple drift events, probably like 10 drift events last year alone.
Damn, dude.
Actually pretty crazy. Driving to and from each event with no issues. So I trust the motor. It's taking
That's a
care
lot
of
of
me.
trust, dude. That's a lot.
Maybe it's just you're lucky because I've had two RB25s, two cars are RB25s, and both of them were fucking acting up on me. Like
Really?
Which one?
Yeah,
You had the purple one.
yeah, that had
Oh,
an
and the
RB25
Steve,
in
yeah.
it. That the R32 I had, and it
Yeah.
had like something wrong with the throttle sensor or whatever. So I would just be sitting at a light and it would just start revving. It'd just be like, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And then I didn't know. I was like, my first car, I didn't know what the fuck to do. So I was just driving around like that, making people think I was doing that. I was like, yeah, I'm totally, I'm just sitting here and like, wow, 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 wow. And then my fucking Stagia that I had completely bone stock, and then it would not idle like, smoothly to save its life. I had to put a bunch of money into that. But I mean, I guess you're the chosen one because clearly your car, your RB25 is ready to rock.
I got lucky with it. I bought it as a Series 2. Like that's how they had it listed. I went and picked it up, dropped it in the car, and I started buying parts for it. And I realized the parts weren't fitting. And that's when I researched the motor, and it's actually a Neo. So I like lucked out
nice.
big time.
Yeah, I hate how they have
That's
that.
awesome.
They're like just different enough to be like, regular parts won't fit on all of them. It's so annoying.
Mm-hmm. It was a
Yeah, no
good
way.
problem to have, though. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it doesn't fit because my motor is a Neo.
Subtle flex. Dude, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit here. What's the learning curve been like for you to go from, mechanic extraordinaire to content creator? Like, because that's a big learning curve to have to pick up video and photo and editing and marketing, all that shit. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
what's that been like for you?
So there's a couple different areas of this. There's like the email side with like the companies and whatnot. But I have to admit, I have, going through school, I had a lot of experience writing emails to my professors or like interviewers or whatever while I was going to school for automotive. So I had really good experience with like professional emails. So luckily, like that was fine. Mechanically, like obviously, I've been working on cars ever since I got out of high school. So again, I went to school for that as well. So that kind of went pretty smoothly. Filming and editing. I have been skateboarding my entire life. So I have been filming and editing skateboarding videos.
Yeah.
Which just, again, just played into the role of, I can do this. I know how to do that. What if I make a video of this? So that's kind of what this whole, build has turned into, is just like all of my past experiences has like come together as one, and I can use all of them. It's been insane.
So you're just like in your element off the bat.
Yeah.
That's rad as shit, dude.
I wonder why drifting seems to be such like a natural progression for a lot of like extreme sports guys. Like I skateboarded in high school. Jared, I don't know, did you do anything like that in high school? Or
Yeah,
back
it
in the
wasn't
day?
good though.
Yeah.
I could ollie, dude. I could ollie like a motherfucker, bro. And that was like a motherfucker, dude. And that was it.
Like let's play skate. You hit your ollies like that.
Yeah, let's play skate.
Let's play skate.
You have to ollie at 13 inches exactly.
But yeah, it just seems like all that stuff just flows in. I mean, if you probably look at like FD or whatever, I wonder how many of those guys came from like BMX or skateboarding. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's like the showing off aspect of it. I don't know.
I think people's ankles start hurting after a while.
Yeah, I had to retire because my kneecaps.
Dude, my knees.
Yeah, Darius, is that why? You're like, damn, I suck. It's my kneecaps, bro. It's my fucking knee.
No, bro. I had fucking tray flips on lock, bro. But I played skate like 2-3 years ago with some guy and rolled my ankle, like blew it out, and I was like, that's it for me. I'm done.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of that like Steve's vibe. You know what I mean? It's like you're always trying to like push yourself, and it's a natural progression because it's like race cars, I think, are just more like, I don't know, man. It seems like a natural progression because skateboarding, like, I don't want to call it juvenile. There's a lot of really good adult skateboarders, so it's not that. But I think drifting is just so much bigger. You know what I mean? It's like there's more pieces. There's way more shit you can do, like as far as the cars go. I will say, dude, and I'm starting to feel this way a lot more now than I ever have. But I feel like drifting is very limiting. And maybe I'm wrong for thinking that, and you guys can back or like give me counterpoints or, you know, fucking argue till your face gets red. But like, I don't know. I just feel like I've seen kind of everything. I feel like the reverse entry was like the last thing where people were like, holy shit, and or like maybe the 360 drift. But I'm like, it's like, where do we go from here? Like, what do you do?
It's weird too because like skateboarding is limitless. Like there's still tricks that haven't been done. Like you could name a trick and it hasn't been done. Like, but with drifting, I feel like it's like, oh, I've drifted that track. I've drifted with this guy. You know what I mean? I do understand how you say it's repetitive because I was actually feeling like that last year, which is a whole reason why I was so excited to go on that road trip and, you know, drift out west at Park and Spirit Peaks. But it was still drifting at the end of the day. But I don't know.
Yeah. Drifting to me is like, oh, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
I was just gonna say that I feel like the correlation between like BMX and like these extreme sports and skateboarding with cars is the thrash aspect. You just like balls to the walls, like just go for it. And I feel like that is a feeling that you get from doing those kind of activities, and then that's like what you strive for. At least that's what it does for me. Like when I'm going up the wall at US Air and I'm full throttle, like, am I gonna tap it? Am I gonna tap it? Like that's the same as like doing a kickflip down a 10 stair for me. I'm like, am I gonna land this one? I don't know. That's just honestly.
But with way less risk, you know what I mean? Like I do feel like drifting's pretty safe. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I think the correlation between drifting and skating is just 100% community. Like I remember when I used to skate all day, every day with my friends, like we weren't good, but it was just going from spot A to B to C to just be hanging out with your homies and doing stupid shit. It's just basically drifting in a nutshell. Like, let me just hang out with my homies and do stupid shit.
For real.
We say that, but like almost every time I've almost gotten into a fight, it was at a skate park.
Well, that's because if there's other,
you know what I mean?
Other groups like coming into your group, it's like, you know,
like turf wars.
Exactly, bro.
Well, you don't have that shit at drift events. I don't know. There's not like people that are like, man, you're a I need to, dude, I'm just speaking my truth, man. That was like 2006 skate park type shit.
It was rough back then. You had to be
I feel bad now. Which is gonna demonetize us before we're even monetized.
Don't worry, I'll bleep that in the edit. We're good.
Anyways, that's just the truth, man. That's what it was. And yeah, you don't get that at drift events, which makes me extremely happy. I don't know. Prism Mike probably was hanging out with way cooler skateboarders than I was back in the day. But okay. Here's a good question for you because you know the ins and outs. I go into a cage shop, right? And I want to know if they make good or bad shit. What's like a very key indicator that somebody's really shitty at making cages?
Honestly, I have never gone to a cage shop per se, but I did order a Cage Kids cage for a couple reasons. They use like 3D scanner and they have it all like scanned out, all modeled up for you. It's pre-notched. That's probably like the biggest thing ever.
That's the Chair Slayer, homie, isn't it?
Yeah. And also they have etches in like the other tubes of where the pipes should connect. So it's like, you know where everything's going to be. Everything's pre-notched. It's like perfect for a DIYer. But
True. I know the hard part is the car I'm trying to cage is I don't think anybody's gonna have a prefab of it.
Hey, just
I wonder where
send it down to Cage Kit, see if they'll scan it for you.
I'm just saying. I wonder where he's at.
There you go. Hey, so
Dude, that would take so much work, dude. He scans the entire car.
He does. And they strip it too. I mean, they have to.
Yeah.
get your checkbook ready, Jared.
For what checkbook, bro? a credit card put me in more debt.
Hey, Mike, so real quick, you know, I don't have any experience like welding. You mentioned earlier that you went to, did you learn that in school for automotive stuff, or did you just kind of grab a welder and just go into it? Basically, I'm looking for tips on how to get started doing that stuff, because that's, for what I have in my mind for where I want to go with my car, it would involve a lot of welding and whatnot. So can you give me some pointers on how to get started doing that?
Sure. So I went to school for automotive. I went to the junior college for 2 years, and I transferred to SIU University, or Southern Illinois University, for 2 years in automotive. Now, there was one class there as an option. It wasn't like required or anything, but it was like a intro to fabrication. And I was like, oh, this will be good. So I took that, and they taught you how to use a welder, how to sharpen drill bits, just like little odds and ends, like how to use like those kind of shop tools. So funny enough, during that class is when my crash happened in my right-hand drive Integra, and I had like tack welded a rear clip onto it, and I drove it down, and then I welded the rest of it in that class. So I actually learned how to weld in that class on my right-hand drive Integra. But ever since that class, I wanted to, weld on my own. I didn't have my own welder, and I was like, man, these welders are expensive. And I was in college, I couldn't afford it. So I asked a couple of my friends that did weld. I was like, hey, what is a good welder for like an at-home, no crazy outlet? Because some you need to like switch your outlets to the different plug, but
220.
Yeah, 220. But I wanted one that you could just plug in anywhere, because I didn't want to have to do that. I was in an apartment at the time. It's like, I'm not gonna switch up the apartment's plugs. So he recommended this. I don't even know where it is. Oh, it's over there. It's a Hobart like 110 handler, I think it's called. It's like $400 or $500 on Amazon. I bought it, got it, and then ever since then, I've just been messing around in the garage, just slowly progressing, trying to get a hang of it, watching YouTube videos of how to weld steel. And
Darius, the first step is don't live in fucking Korea.
Yeah,
I mean, you could do whatever you want, dude. You could go to Harbor Freight, buy everything you need.
Well, it's funny.
Does Korea have any like really poppin' tool stores? Like I know Japan has Astro, which was shit.
But they do sell a welder in the BX, and I was like, damn, should I buy this? But I can't just
Really?
be welding in my apartment and like smoke out the whole apartment. And my wife
Right.
would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Who's that
And you
for?
want to make sure you have a gas tank with it. If it's just like flux core, it's not. I mean, I guess flux is okay. I don't really know, but MIG is way better for connecting metal that you want to stay connected.
That's you got to get like an argon tank for that, right?
Yeah, I have
Like,
a
do they
short
just
bottle.
deliver
It's
that
like,
to your house?
no, you just go pick it up from your local.
Amazon Prime, bro.
No.
I just
No, I
typed
don't
in
know.
welding shop near
Don't listen
me,
to me.
and I called it in. I was like, hey, do you guys sell argon tanks? I just bought a welder. I don't know what to do. Like, yeah, we have some options for you. And they tell you what to, what gas to put in based on what you're using it for, type of thing.
A little bit.
Oh yeah. All right, dude. Let's get creative for a second here. So let's say you didn't have the 180 and you had to build a rear-wheel drive platform with any engine. Like, what's the combo that you're going with?
Any engine?
Yeah, any engine, any chassis. Like, if you had to build a car right now that wasn't a 180 240, what would it be?
I don't know if I want to spill these beans.
You don't have to say something that you're building now.
It's not that I'm building it now, but I want to build this so bad. It's like my
Give us
dream.
an exclusive. Give us an exclusive.
All
You know,
right.
save those
Hear me
beans
out.
and give us a.
This is
you're
a
gonna be
very
with
ballpark out there idea. I'm sure it'll be
that. Love it. I already
throwing
love
some
it. Hit me.
question marks. Right-hand drive DC2 R or not with a
Okay.
S15 SR20 rear-wheel drive.
Wow.
That would be so sick. Imagine
listen.
a JDM Integra sliding down the track.
This is so on brand for you, and I hate it, dude.
That would be sick.
He's like, yeah, listen, you know that right-hand drive Integra I used to have? I basically want that, but with an SR.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Well,
I
so I'm
will say,
thinking.
yeah,
What? So they have the SRs that were transverse mounted in. I don't know what car they were in. I think it was like a Pulsar or something, right?
Yeah.
Would you be able to do that in the back of an Integra? Would that fuck up the whole feng shui? You know what I
I
mean?
want to do FR.
Okay, yeah.
yeah, because if you do rear engine,
You'll spin
mid
out.
engine,
Yeah.
sucks, dude. I drove Donnie's when he had that MR2. I tried drifting that, and it was like
Yeah, it's
50,
impossible.
50-50 I would spin out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to think of the
well-
easiest way because you would have to make a whole tunnel in that. Because
Oh yeah.
are they completely flat underneath? I don't know anything about front wheel drive stuff.
The Integra, there's definitely not enough space for a trans or a drive shaft as it
That's
is
where you
now.
got 240 tunnel, baby. That's it.
Exactly. I mean,
Solving problems,
we
dude.
did one
We're
here.
There you go.
yeah. Dude, I don't know Honda engine codes, so enlighten me here. So DC2, is that only the coupe?
Yeah.
But then include four doors. Damn, dude. See, the four doors are where it's at. Like I know it's a hot
I
take,
do love
probably.
my four door. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like a rear wheel
So
drive SR20 Integra Type R, or just it doesn't have to be Type R because I
That
guess
would go hard. That would go hard.
right.
It would.
Wait, did I
I
see?
I just,
Go ahead, Jared.
they've done Civics. I saw like an EG or an EK Civic in Japan that they had converted to rear wheel, and I think they used an SR in that as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, dude, rear wheel swaps are popping.
So
There's
sick.
there's a Daihatsu too that also I think has an SR in it, and it's like totally tubed. It is the sickest thing. I'll put it up on the Daihatsu Mira. Oh no,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
got
I know what you're
the
talking about.
yeah. Looks like it's got a Miata engine though, dude. This thing is the absolute bee's knees.
Mike, you got to
I'm
go
just
to Japan. I feel like your skill set would thrive there. They're like, I want to take 6 cars and like smash them together. Like, I don't know if you ever looked at like not Yahoo auctions, but just the Japanese auctions. Cars come through there all the time that are like cut down the middle. It'd be like a 350Z and an S13 in the back, or like a BMW smash with like a chaser. Like, you would be
That's
a
insane.
god there.
It's not great.
I mean, some of them work.
like-
Not all of them work, but some of them work.
No, like a lot of them don't work. Yeah. And then every now and then you get something like this Mira, and it's like, oh shit, that kind of worked though. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I like the I feel like the Integra is like just out there enough to be interesting, but it's not so out there that it's unappealing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like just enough to where you'd be like, all right, this is kind of sick.
Right.
Darius, what's your like unlimited skill, unlimited budget? I would build this as a drift car.
Well, first off, let me just say, Mike, I think what you really need is an Integra pickup truck, because looking at your Instagram, that's the only thing you use it for. It's like taking all kinds of parts, like jamming that shit in there. Did you pick up an engine in the back of your Integra?
A whole KA.
They're versatile, dude. They're
That wasn't
versatile
the first
cars.
time either.
Yeah, you need to smash it with like an Integra freaking like Sunny or something.
All right, dude.
That
I
would be
googled it. They
so
look
cool.
terrible. No, they look fucking horrendous.
And
Never do that.
Jared, as far as my unlimited build, you already know where I'm gonna go. So I'm not even gonna say it because it's gonna be GTR something. Like I'm a very simple man.
You need to take a break from the GTRs, dude. Like get something.
I mean,
Get something that's Whistling Diesel approved.
I swear, don't even mention him around. I'm triggered, bro. I am so triggered. I'll say that for another day.
Dude, that's my favorite content. Are you seriously would go with the GTR though? You wouldn't do any other chassis?
I mean, it'd have to be a Nissan because I'm like Nissan through and through. Have
Like,
you
I
seen
feel
that?
like-
Was it that Sylvia? What's the name of the convertible ones?
Beretta.
Beretta.
Yeah,
Have you seen
Beretta.
that new one that's going around the internet? That purple one that guy did.
Yes, that was at the LZ compound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely do that
That
with an
shit was
RB26
hard, bro.
because that's the only thing I know how to work on, like with any sort of reliability. And I would just want a cruiser. Like I just want something to go A to B in style. Like I hate driving boring cars, and that would be super dope to have.
Dude, I posted a S13 with a 13B on our page today.
Oh, that
And
maroon one.
That
it
one's
is like
cool.
close to perfect. It's like close to perfect. Like I feel like I would either really want to do a Lotus Elise with a 13B or a Porsche 914.
How would you do a Lotus Elise? Can you? You'd have to like. I don't even know how you would do
You're right. I don't know how I do that.
that.
I forgot it's mid-engine. I don't know. Throw a 3S in it and call it a day. I don't know. Fuck, dude, the 914 is mid-engine too. What am I doing with my life, bro?
Hey, yo, Mike, do you fuck with the what is that Honda engine that everybody's swapping over now? The is
The
it
K20,
the K20?
K24.
Do you fuck with those, or you
Uh,
want to keep it Nissan? I mean, you got a
I
Honda
would.
already, and you
I have always wanted to do a K swap into something. I don't know
Dude,
what.
and K-swaps are hot right now too.
Right.
That's the shit.
I like it would be cool to K swap one of the Integras that I have, but well, I probably just will wait till one of the B series blow up. Then we'll look into that.
yeah.
My
I
sedan
got
has
an
over 300,000 miles, and honestly, my right-hand drive Integra it just drives so flawlessly. I don't want to change anything about
right.
it unless it's an SR.
Don't
There you
fix it
go.
unless it's broken.
300,000 miles. How's that thing still on the road?
It's a Honda, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess.
it's a Honda.
And Mike owns it, so he's proved that if he owns it, it's gonna stay on the road.
It will stay.
You can't kill it, dude. The
You
cars are
can't
probably
kill
like
it.
fucking crying. You know what I mean? They're like, please just let me die.
Poor car.
Yeah, you ever see that meme? And it's like a 17-year-old
Yeah.
with a red.
Please let me die.
That's Mike's life story.
That's so sad. No, it's happy.
Hey,
It's happy.
So me and Jared have discussed before about having our significant other support us with the stuff that we're doing, because our hobby is like super expensive and like it takes a lot of our time. So what has your experience been like with that, like getting the support from your friends and your family around you?
Well, at first, a lot of people switched up and backed out. They were like, "Yo, you're gonna fix that?" Like what? So that taught me really early on to like be really careful who I share things with, because people like obviously act different to you to then talk shit about you behind your back. So definitely had a lot of changes in friendships, which in my opinion is a good thing because I'm not wasting energy on them anymore. But the people that did stick around from the beginning, even before the crash, they've proven to be even closer friends. Like I don't know, you've seen like on the channel, there's like people that I often throw in the video here and there, and those are the ones that are always, hyping me up and being like, "No, dude, you got this." And I'll like send them screenshots of people like talking shit about me. I'm like, "Damn, can you believe that there's people talking shit about me? Like they don't even know me." And they're like, "No, dude, fuck them, just do you." I'm like, "All right, yeah, you're right, you're right." But yeah, I don't know. At first, I could tell my mom was kind of like, "You're gonna fix that? Are you sure, honey?" And then one day she got home, it was actually the first test drive video. When she got home, the garage door was open, the car was out of here because I work on it at my mom's house. I don't actually live here, but she was like, "Where's your car? Did you move it?" And I'm like, "I'm on a test drive right now."
There's like no windows. It's like buffeting. It's like, oh my god.
Fucking chitty chitty bang bang up in here, dude.
Yeah, that thing was rubbing pretty good too, but that's how it should be.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So yeah, I guess to
Dude,
answer your question overall is just some people left, some people got stronger. I feel like there's less people, but it's more quality, which I always
100%.
value quality over quantity. So it worked out in the end.
Dude, I remember when I was younger too, and I think that's just a part of getting older too, is like when you're in school, at least for me, I wanted to make a good impression on like as many people as I could. You know what I mean? And so, but you leave so many impressions that are artificial, or like you have these just kind of relationships where it's like more of an acquaintance than a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get older, you kind of realize like, oh, I actually don't want like 100 people that I just like know but don't fuck with. I'd rather have like 10 good
Right.
homies.
Yeah.
That took me like literally probably 15 years to figure out. And I'm like, all right. It's like fucking that episode of SpongeBob when he's got his 3 friends and they're all his fingers. He's like, I'm good.
Well, so
That's
like social media is
secret to
like
life.
the antithesis of what you're talking about, Jared. Because I know, Mike, you got like over 100,000 followers now. That's like, if you just imagine how many people that is, that fills up like a football stadium, and they're all like, we're signing up to put our eyeballs on you. Like, I don't know, man. My wife got me a tripod to like start doing YouTube videos and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't want to have people judging me about what I'm doing. Cause you know, you're going to make mistakes. You know, you're going to mess things up.
Too late, dog. Look at what we're doing right now.
Yeah, but this is different. I got you there. I got you there to take the flack on like what I was doing. But like you were explaining earlier, Mike, like having to do that whole pipeline on your own. And then even after all that hard work is done, you do all the work to post up a video. And then someone had the nerve to be like, fuck this guy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, right? I just did all this work and it took you 2 seconds to type on your keyboard. Like, I just wasn't ready for all that. And luckily we still haven't gotten like a ton of flack, or maybe you're moderating that stuff, Jared. I don't see it, but I don't know. That's like a huge,
I know. I'm worried about it because we're dumb as fuck. And I'm like, a lot of times I know we'd be speaking out of turn. And I'm just like, dude, somebody's going to call us on our bullshit one of these days and be like, man, these guys run a podcast. They don't know shit about cars.
Yeah.
Darius knows only things about R32s and RB26s. I only know SRs and S14s.
You know, Toyotas, you got that Tezza.
That Tezza was okay, man. Thinking back on it though, and I've already said this on another episode, but I really wish I just did more shit with the S15. Like the Altezza was cool, but the S15 could have been like, because I had, when I bought it, and I've already talked about this, but to recap for Mike, I bought a Spec S that had an S13 black top in it for my wife. The swap never ran good. I bought a parts car that was wrecked and rolled over, another S15. I paid like $900. Came with the S15 SR and the 6-speed. You can see where I'm going with this. What I should have done is just put that engine in her Spec S. Yeah, exactly. That would have made way more sense, but I didn't. I sold that engine just for the money. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll flip it and make money off of this. And then I wasted that money on the Altezza. I know. That's what I mean though, is like the Altezza was slow. Like it was good. Don't get me wrong. Like it was a really good NA. Like it was, but it was just slow.
That would have been a perfect car for you, Mike. 15. Because that 15 was smashed up. The one that you bought, like you could have just like cut the roof. Well, I don't remember. It was pretty destroyed. You could have cut the roof off and then took Jess's S15 that was perfectly mint condition and chopped the roof off.
Let me ship this car from Japan to Illinois real quick here.
And then just like smash them together.
Dude, I would have spent like 3 times the cost of the car just in shipping. Yeah, dude, that was stupid though. I definitely should have just kept the S15. Where were we going with this?
I think we're just shooting the shit at this point.
We're just talking about shit, like how we don't know things. But yeah, like I don't know, man. The Altezza was a cool chassis. It's just hard to make power. Dude, I want to talk about, like, I kept thinking about it as you were talking about other shit though, but this like tour that you did, right? And I don't know if you call it a tour. That's why I did that. I wasn't being disrespectful. Like, yeah, you did this fucking like little tour shit. Dude, but when you went drifting like around America and you did this whole trip, what was your expectation like going into that? Were you like, I need to set aside like $2,000, this car is for sure gonna break, or were you just like, nah, fuck it, we're just gonna go? What was like the reasoning behind that? And you know, did you have a contingency plan if the car fucked up?
So Stevie, he's the guy that I drove with. He has an S13 as well. He recently VQ swaps his S13 right before the trip, and I had recently finished my RB swap, and the day before got it painted with a new windshield. And then we're like, all right, we've been talking about doing this. We got our time off work. Are we really going to do this? So we're like, all right, let's just do it. So we went. And I honestly didn't think my car was going to have any issues, only because the whole year prior I had been tweaking the RB and the suspension and just, you know, dialing it in. All that was really left was the cosmetics, you know, the kit and the paint and the windshield. Yeah. So I knew deep down that my car was going to be sound and ready to go. And same with Stevie. He's been finishing his tweaks and figuring out his car. So we knew our cars and drivetrain were going to be fine. We also knew he had a VQ, so if anything broke on his, it'd be fine. But my RB, if anything broke on that, we were going to be like, oh man. But I mean, okay, luckily nothing went wrong with any of our drivetrains, so that's good. The only real issues that we ended up having though was Stevie having flat tires because he had like a kit on, so he had like mad camber. So it was just eating tires just on the road the whole time. But the whole reason we wanted to do that was just because we figured it'd be like the ultimate, I don't want to say flex, but it'd be like the best way to experience like your car. You know what I mean? Like you are driving it
Yeah.
across the country, drifting it, and camping. Like we camped the whole time too along the way.
Yeah.
So we got like the ultimate like experience with our chassis and hanging out as friends. And my girlfriend was also riding along with me as well. So that was just, I don't know, it was a lot of fun. We also love the West Coast and the mountains and the big trees. This is my first time seeing redwoods. I always want to see redwoods and go to that big drive-through tree, which we did go to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got a picture of this. Well, it's crazy to see. It's crazy to say this car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This drafted. But I got a picture of this car under it.
You look back at it, you're like, kind of.
half of this car.
Well, now hearing more about that story, because the road trip thing, if I'm honest, I didn't know that had happened. But now I understand why you would be reluctant to, just get rid of the car. Because I know for me, and I'm assuming it's the same for you, I have so many memories in my car that I just couldn't see myself not having it. Like I have so many core memories. So yeah.
I'm on GTR.
Yeah, because I drove to like Sendai and like spend a bunch of time with my wife in there. Like even if I smashed it up, I would still keep like the doors or the hood or something. Like I couldn't let it go.
Exactly, you get it.
Darius, can I be honest with you?
Yo,
I have more memories in your purple Skyline than your blue one because the blue one's been on jack stands for so long. He had the purple one, and we drove it around, and then he wrecked it. And the blue one, I think I've ridden the blue one like one time.
Yeah, well, before it was blue, I had a ton of time in that car when it was stock, and then when I started modifying it, that's when I fucked it up.
I forgot that car was ever silver, dude. Damn. No, so the road trip, and then you were talking about too, just going to these really far, going to park and all that. That was all part of the road trip, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did you time that out where you were like, okay, this event's going on,
Yeah.
Or was it you did?
Yeah, it was timed out.
Yeah.
There was a park
What time of
event
year
that
did you
was.
go?
What did you say?
What time of year did you go?
We went the end of May to June. I think we were gone for like 2 weeks, maybe just over 2 weeks. But yeah,
That's a gamble, though.
yeah. Well, Park was having this like weekend event type thing, and it was like you can camp there, and we're like, oh, perfect. We plan on doing that. And then the following week, there's a Spirit Peaks event, and we're like, okay, cool. So we'll just, go to Park first, camp, explore the city for a couple days, check up on our cars, and then just go to Spirit Peaks. And then after Spirit Peaks, we went and like down to Lake Tahoe area, and that's all on the way there. We also stopped at the Redwoods because had to see the Redwoods when we were over there.
Dude. Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a blast. I can't wait to go again.
What's your home track? Is it US Air?
Yeah, technically.
How did that compare to Spirit Peaks and Park?
So Park feels like it almost feels like a video game. It's like too cool. Like the trees are there and like it's like all laid out like an actual like racetrack type vibe. And Spirit Peaks, let's see, that one felt like streeting. When I was driving on Spirit Peaks, it felt like I was on the road streeting. Honestly, it was a cool vibe. You can get so many cars lined up. The lanes are so wide. It's good for beginners as well, because if you spin out, there's like plenty of space.
What I always thought about Park. Like Park just looks so cramped and like.
Yeah, Park is really narrow. It helps a lot having like a better low end torque car versus like a higher rev car, because there's a lot of like close, turns or whatever. But US Air, still my favorite. The elevation change and what's running up the wall before and after, it's just
yeah, that's one that looks like a video game to me. Like whenever I see videos of that stuff, I was like, is this a real track? Like what the fuck? Like,
it's
an old karting track, right?
What do you say?
Isn't US Air an old karting track?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, it looks so good. I mean, all the final bout coverage, I'm always like, holy shit, bro.
That track is the
Just
best.
huge rolling like turns and shit. Like you just don't get that at like a regular track.
Oh no, because some of the turns are blind. So like when you're mid transition, you can't see the next like point that you need to whip it or whatever. So you're just like holding it. You're like, oh, okay, let go. It's just so much fun. Like the elevation adds a whole nother like dimension of the fun of it, I guess.
100%. How far is that from you?
5-ish hours.
Now, is that another one that you would just drive to and then drive back home?
I've driven this car to every single drift event and driven it home from every single drift event.
What do you think is like? Do you think people stress too much about taking a trailer or a dolly to events?
It depends, though. It's like you trust the car as much as you would trust your mechanical abilities. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I know I don't. Jesus.
I wouldn't either if I was you, Derek.
I don't know. I think I just have like a curse on me, bro. And it's never like little stuff that breaks. It's always rod, like internal stuff. Like it's no.
I've never
like
blown a
road
motor.
fix.
Can you believe that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, how is this possible, dude? I need to get. You need to send me like
dude,
a
if you
lucky
never
charm or
open it,
something.
it's fine. It's fine until you open it and then you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm really keep my SR as.
Well, you're not running like crazy amounts of boosts, right? You're kind of running it close to stock spec, right?
Yeah. So
Not
I
yet.
ran it, the RB, the entire time at I think like 5 or 6 psi. It's supposed to be at like 10, but there was a manifold leak with the the exhaust gasket. It was like kind of broken off because a couple studs were broken. But I still ran it, and it still did fine on 5 psi.
Yeah, see, if you stay within the spec, my problem is I tinker too much. So then and then I had a Power FC, and then I started messing around on the computer, and that's when shit started really going crazy.
Oh, you were trying to do some tuning shit.
Yeah, I put like R35 GTR like not spark plugs, injectors in there. Then I was trying to get the R35 MAFs going, and that's when it was running fine. Like I didn't have any issues. And then just one morning I took it to work, and it was just, you know what it was? It was like a little fucking, I forgot what it's called in the UK. It was like some little hatchback motherfucker. And that's a problem with driving. I don't know if this ever happened to you, Mike, but I'll just be driving around minding my own business, and people will like come fly past me like they want to race me. And I'm not the type of person to let that shit slide. So this motherfucker flew past me in the morning, and it was like early in the morning, like 7 o'clock. It was so cold. And I was like 10 minutes from my house. I was like, okay, dude, if you want to go, I'll give it to you right now. And then I gave him the beans. And then as soon as I came out the throttle, he heard tick, 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 tick. And I was like, son of a. It wasn't even worth it. It's not like I blew out a Lamborghini or anything. It was like a little freaking hoopty.
You really showed that pulsar. What's up? Huh?
Exactly. They'll never forget me.
What a way to go out. Did you win at least?
I mean, I got ahead of him in the traffic, and then immediately I got stuck behind somebody else.
That's good enough.
You hit the flashers, and then you got the rod knocked out of there, dude.
Exactly. I was like, no, it's supposed to be making this noise. I'll see you later.
Yeah. It's camp. It's whatever. Like crying, like trying to roll the windows up, Drake meme, fucking just crying.
Dude, I was supposed to take a road trip to Wales the next day. That's why it's so like, ugh. And I never got to drive my car again when I was in England.
But it runs now, right?
Yeah, but I don't, and that's the thing, Mike, when you're talking about like driving your car to all these events and everything, I have lost all confidence in the car. That's the problem. Like,
that's the thing.
Yeah, I rebuilt the engine and it started and ran fine. I actually drove it from my old house to my new house, and I had my AFR, all my readings were good, but I am still terrified to take it out and put like real boost through it, because I think it runs, I had it set at like, I want to say like 7 bar or something, which is like stock. I think it's like 14 PSI or something like that. But I'm just terrified.
Yeah.
I think 1 bar is like 7
yeah,
PSI.
like one.
Oh, maybe
1.
1 bar, whatever.
Yeah.
No, 1 bar is 14.
Whatever the fuck it is, it's 14
7
PSI.
bar.
7 bar would be 100 PSI.
That's why it fucking
like
blew
I'm just
up.
running like 7
That
bars.
sounds
No, just 1 bar. My bad,
Damn.
my bad. But
Like a top fuel dragster up in here.
yeah. All I gotta say is, Mike, never open your RB. Just if it's not
I don't want
smoking.
to.
I know you put out a video where it had some issue. Was it, you said the turbo had blown?
Yeah, I think the exhaust wheel flew out because right before or right after I noticed, I could hear like ding 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 ding.
Oh,
I was like, something fell off.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's a pretty simple fix, right? You just
Oh
slap
yeah,
on your turbo and keep on going.
definitely.
But
Turbo shit's so expensive though.
not if you just get a stock one, like just
Yeah,
from
I'll just put
another
another
fucking.
stock one on there probably.
Yeah.
I got you.
'Cause if you
Yeah,
upgrade
dude,
the
you kinda-
turbo, then you upgrade this, that,
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that was
I'm
my
avoiding
problem.
that.
Yeah, that was my problem before because I didn't understand the train of mods that you had to do. So like when I did my
Mm,
first rebuild, I put bigger turbos on, and I was just running it like that. And then of course I didn't have enough injector for that, or I wasn't taking in
right.
enough air. Like it was just all discombobulated. And then I remember I was driving home one day, and the car's like spitting out smoke because the turbos that I put on they blew in like no time at all. And I got a text from you, Jared. You're like, somebody saw you on the road. They said your car's like billowing smoke. And I was like, I think that's a problem for another day. I'm just going to bed.
Damn.
That's an issue for tomorrow, Darius. Yeah, I keep trying to build this parts list because I've got a non-turbo SR that I'm in a turbo, and Jimmy Oaks has kind of been my Bible for the past like month. But trying to build a parts list that's like I know is going to be reliable, and then for the non-turbo to turbo, you've got to worry about the oil lines
Yeah.
and like all kind of weird supporting shit, and then figuring out if you're going to keep the distributor or go coil packs, like all of that. And it just adds up so fast. And so then I see these guys that are running turbo, and I'm like, damn, they have a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
like y'all are rich as fuck, bro. Power's expensive.
It is.
I'm cool with my 150 horsepower in the 4.9. Like, I'm good. Yeah, dude. I don't know how y'all do it, but
Well, so final question. I think it's time to start wrapping it up for you, Mike. What does the future hold? So we know you're getting kind of close to the finish line with your car. Where do you see yourself going from here?
I definitely want to keep building cars. I don't know if I want to keep fixing smashed cars per se.
Yeah, once is enough, I would say.
That's fair.
I did
That's
pick
very
up
couple times.
Yeah, I did pick up a 300Z recently, Z32. I've always wanted one of those because my brother had one. It was his first car, and I don't know, it's a lot of fun. Not to work on, but to drive. So
Is it TT or is it NA?
it's a shell, so I guess NA.
Whichever one you want it to be.
But I did pick up a motor from the junkyard recently, so I'm gonna see if that'll how that looks in there, and then we'll
Hey,
see we'll see what's going on with that.
SEMA
But-
23. I think you got more than enough time if you start now, so where you won't have to be working on your car at the show. If you
Mike, just blink twice if the junkyard motor's a VH45. Damn. Okay. Now I'm excited. He didn't blink. For everybody listening to audio, he did not blink. If you're lying to me, Mike, I'm gonna be pissed.
Not lying, no V8s.
VH45 300ZX. Nice, dude. I've always liked those too, and it's kind of like you said though. They're just like the VG is not appealing to me whatsoever.
Yeah,
But when you see a really nice Z32, it's so good. Like the styling of them is so good. They're just weird cars, man. They're really, really weird cars when you compare them to like a 240, which just 240s just seem to make so much sense, which I think is why so many people like them, because like they look sporty, they're really easy to work on. Like the dashboards are like pretty standard, like the interiors are pretty normal, like everything on them makes sense. But like the 300ZX, it's like the T-tops are weird and they leak a lot. The dashboard's funky because it like comes halfway into the cabin. Like the motor has no space to work on it. The Hikis system's kind of ass all the time. Like 300ZX have so many you know what I mean? Like the little back bezel for the taillights always cracks.
mine's
Like
broken.
exactly. Like 300ZXs they're great when they're great, but when they're mediocre or worse, like they just suck. Like they're terrible cars.
Right.
So no, I'm stoked for you. That's a really long way of saying I'm stoked for you. I can't wait to see this really rad Z32 because there's very notable Z32 builds that people have done over the years, and there's like maybe 3 or 4 that I can name where I'm like, yeah, that shit was tight. Like I would own the fuck out of that.
Right, like when they're done right, they're so good.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of the stock body just slammed on those. Like I've never been a fan of like I think there was a guy that came out with the kit that was called the Pac-Man kit or something. And it's another one of those things like super wide body, like chassis mount wing. And I was like, why you got to mess with it? They did it right from the factory. Just leave it how it is.
Huge, dude. This Pac-Man kit's massive.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of it. And for a kit like that, you got to buy wheels to fill up the fender. The wheels are going to cost more than the car. It's like fucking 20 grand in wheels. I mean, that's exaggeration, but I don't know. Yours is this green one, right? That I'm looking at on Instagram here. I love that color, man. Like I've had 2 British Racing green cars, and I was like, well, this color just pops when you can get it nice and clean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the
100%.
Z32 is the cousin of the 32, so basically we're like fucking 32 bros.
Hey.
Oh, and actually, wait, is yours TT? You said it was NA or TT? Oh, you said it was just
It's
shell
an
right now?
shell.
Dang, because I think the RB26 turbos might fit on those, that stock engine, but I'm not sure.
Oh.
And I have like a ton of those in the garage.
He's got that junkyard motor though. That is not a VH45.
Is
and
it
I'm
a
sure
V8?
it's not a V8. Sure, it's not a V8. It's not a V8 either.
Wait. Okay.
No
hey,
V8s.
do what you gotta do.
Dude, I'm really trying to rack my brain right now on like what you would find in a junkyard.
Well, I'm looking at his Instagram, and
Dude,
I'm
if it's an
assuming that
LS,
it's
I'd be so mad.
this
It's probably an LS.
No V8.
Oh yeah, he said that. He said it's no V8. I know. Darius and I are like, the K series, dude. He's been leading us on this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I know you want it to be an SR, but
Dude, if you found an SR in a junkyard, that would be like
That'd be insane.
like a rear wheel drive, not a V20 bullshit, but like oh my god, dude, I would quit my day job and buy a lottery ticket. I'd be like, all right, cashing in on this thing, dude. Well, hell yeah, man. I'm stoked to see it. Thank you so much for coming back on. Before we get out of here, you have been like ramping up all your content. Let's just shout out everything, and we'll put it in the episode description too. But let people know where to find you, and what you got going on different platforms.
Well, thanks, man. It's basically YouTube's primary, then Instagram, and then TikTok. I usually just post like random stuff, but it's all the same username at PRIZZAMIKE, and that's really it.
Oh yeah, yep. Prism Mike's a real one. If y'all haven't already, go back and listen to the first episode. That was pretty shortly after the crash. That kind of, and I think we talked about it in that episode too. And that's going to be like the slogan for this podcast from now on. Is I think we talked about that in a different episode. Is Darius and I were just talking about the crash because that was when the photo was going viral. And I had said something about like it's smart because he's cashing in on clout, or we said something about that, and he DM'd us and was like, I'm not really chasing clout, guys. And we were like, oh shit, well that's cool, yeah, come on the show. And then we had him on the show, and it's blossomed into a beautiful friendship. I think that's pretty much how that went.
Yeah.
So Darius and I bullshitting our way into an interview. And so, no, man, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for coming back. I mean, we're stoked on everything you got going on, man. And so, yeah, I think we're just, excited to see what's next, really. I mean, because we're in the easy seat where we just get to watch. I mean, you're doing all the hard work.
yeah, man.
Well, I really appreciate you guys for having me come out again. A second interview is always a good sign. So
thanks for, yeah, no shit, right? Got the job, son. He's the one that sat in the cold for this whole interview too. We, like I said, we had him shut off the heater before we started. Actually, he shut it off on his own accord. We didn't force him to do shit. But the heater did sound like he was making a bomb. So probably for the better.
Yeah, it was pretty loud.
As always, guys, you can find us on Instagram, Sincerely Japan Podcast. There's underscores in there. Email us sincerelyjapanpodcast@gmail.com, and we still have merch available at sincerelyjapan.us. And I think that's it. If we reference shit in this podcast, it'll be up on the Instagram if you want to look at the photos of what we're talking about. I'll throw that Daihatsu up. Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say.
You made it sound like it's gonna be something epic.
No, okay, so here's what happens, right? Here's what happens is I'll be driving and then I'll be thinking of a conversation piece and I'm like, oh, I need to save that for the podcast. Like, for instance, I just discovered what buffering means, and it's like the video gives you a buffer, right, of loading so that you can watch ahead of time, even if you lose signal. You know what I'm saying?
Aren't you?
But I was waiting
creator, Jared.
I
You
am.
just-
I am. But dude, when's the last time you saw the word buffering, dude? And I was listening to a podcast and it said it was buffering, and I was like, holy shit, that's what that means. It's building a buffer. I never understood that. But this is what I'm talking about. Is like these are things that I see, and then I'm like, oh, I should bring that up or whatever. And one of the things I did want to bring up is just BMWs are so good. And they're not like they're in the drifting space, but they're not.
They're everywhere in
So
the
I know
drifting
we
sprays, Jared.
listen.
You're
We already
off
ended
on
the
this.
episode. So what this means is after this conversation piece, we're ending it, and we're just gonna dip out, play music, and we're gonna roll it. But Mike, what are your thoughts on BMWs as a whole? It doesn't matter if it's E36, 46, 90, whatever. Like, what are your thoughts overall of BMWs being in the drift space?
So I've had an E36. I owned it for about an hour and I traded it back.
Are you serious? Hour. What was it though? Was it like a 318 or was it something decent?
I have no idea what engine was in it. I was still new to cars, but I knew I wanted something to drift. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this will be sick. And I drove it all the way home and I was like, this is horrible. This
Did
car
all the lights come on the dash when you drove it away? Because that's what
Oh,
happened
yeah,
to
yeah.
me.
Check engine light, all the stuff was on.
Exactly.
Like half the interior was already missing. It was a 4-door manual. I was like, it was black. That's really all I remember.
I just listen. I was driving my E90 today, and I was like, "This car is so good," but I know it's gonna break my heart like quick. You know what I mean? Like I know it's gonna fuck something catastrophic, and then I'm just gonna hate it. But I did want to make a call to action for listeners. If you or somebody you know drifts a BMW, get on the show because I want to talk BMWs with somebody. That's where I'm getting at with
Oh,
this.
yeah.
That's it. We have it on record now that Mike hates BMWs.
I
so
don't hate
blow
them.
up.
I feel like I got the short end of the stick on that one.
Just
It's
listen,
like
go
if
for
I
the
picked up-
comments up, man.
It's like if I picked up a ratty 240, you know, like that's gonna stain like how you think about 240s.
Yeah, 100%.
So like when I got
100%.
this car, it was like immaculate, perfect. So I like now I had to think higher about it. I don't know.
No, you're right. I mean, because I've talked to guys like there was a dude, Brendan in Utah that has an E30, and it's like the nicest E30. I love his car. And he and I were talking, and he was like, "Yeah, E30 is great. E36 is great. 46 is like borderline appliance, and then like anything after a 90 is basically an appliance, you know." And I was like, "Yeah, that checks out."
That's
even though
about
that's
right.
my-
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I should really dabble with 36s. Like I drove one 36 and was like, this is decent. It had enough power to where it was fun. And I don't know, man. It's a weird world though. Like there's so many weird oddities about Beamers, and it's not necessarily like better or worse. It's just so much different.
Yeah,
than
it's just
what
different.
chassis and our chassis. Like it's just a lot different. And so, anyways, that's the only thing that I was going to say during this show, and I didn't. Reaching out to fans, listen, just get the Beamer boys up in here. 'Cause
Beamer
Darius
boys.
Darius and I have been daily in Beamers for a minute. Darius's Beamer, I think, kind of fucked up, didn't it? What happened to your Beamer?
I mean, that car was just a
You also-
shit show,
listen,
bro.
Yeah, but you also paid like next to nothing for it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was like $1,500, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just not. I like the look. It was like an E46, or I think so, E46.
Was it a 330?
I have to look back on what I got, but I wasn't really feeling it, and it was automatic too. Yeah, it was an E46. 330 Ci or something. It had like an M Sport package on it.
CIs are garbage, dude.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know much about Beamers. I know the CIs are trash. So whatever.
Okay, well,
That's like
that was
all
a
I
dark
know.
period in my car history.
My dad had one too, and he hated it. And I was like, "What?" It's like, Dad, you don't really look like an E46, 330 Ci kind of guy. My dad is very old, for lack of better terms, and he's never had like a sports car. And I'm like, why did we do this? And then the fuel pump went out, and he sold the whole car. And I'm like, all right, got it.
Hey, the fuel pump died on mine too.
Dude,
So now that's
me
crazy.
as like a car enthusiast, dude, I was pissed because I was like, you could have sold it to me for junk. You know what I mean? Like I would have bought it. That shit myself. Speaking of fuel pumps, dude, how awful are the S14 fuel pumps? Have you ever worked on one?
I have not.
They've got the plastic printing. Like the 13s are so much easier because it's a metal tank, you know what I mean?
Right.
But the 14 has that really shitty plastic collar around it, and so you have to like either drop the tank or you have to pull out that shelf piece,
Really?
undo the access door. Then you have to like untwist this piece of plastic that's been like basically JB welded to the tank from the factory. It hasn't, but that's what it feels like, and then it never goes back on right. I'm just airing grievances at this point.
Yeah,
Let's end the
let's just
episode.
get out of here before Jared has a full blown meltdown. Hey, check out all the social
I'm
media.
fucking pissed now, bro. Jesus.
Check out Mike's stuff. Oh, also check out our playlist on Spotify if you haven't already. Those are, I think they're pretty good. We're gonna keep doing those. Try to do them more
Of course
regularly.
you think you could. You made it, dude.
I'm just saying. I don't want to. I'm gonna be humble. I don't want to come off as like.
Dude, we gotta get Mike back on an episode that's just bullshitting where we're not talking about his car. All right, y'all.
Thanks, y'all. Peace.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. Later.
Thanks for having me.